Jessica Rose is here. We are looking at the calendar. We're starting this. Jessica Rose, what are we doing this week?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Monday, you have an introductory meeting with someone from TCG.
Okay.
Straight up first thing in the morning.
Wait, I'm gonna look at this thing because Jess talks in code, and then I don't really know what I'm doing.
I'm trying to be discreet. That's the goal.
I have no idea what this is.
It's in the notes for you.
These notes, the other person can see it.
Mm-mm.
How?
I promise.
There's no way.
On Google Calendar, if you're not the person that organizes it, you can add in anything in the description and it'll only show up. It like literally says it when you add it. It's like you're the only person that is going to see this. Do you want to still update it?
All right. So just to catch everybody up, Jessica Rose and I had an incident today.
It was, I don't know.
Well, first of all, I didn't realize I was on the train at 7 a.m. So sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. That was shitty of me. So it's 7:06 and I'm just full on blitzing Jess's phone like it's 8:06. Like 8:06, I feel like it's reasonable. 7:06, you're a dick. You know, Jessica Rose is probably like you're an asshole both ways. But
That's fine.
So I had an interview with a candidate today, and in the candidate, Jessica Rose and I have gotten to a system that I have so many meetings coming in that I'm like, Jess, you got to put like you got to like trigger who is this person and why am I meeting with them? So in the blurb, the note says, shout out to my friend Mark Cohn. So the note says, hey, this person isn't as good as Mark Cohn, but is someone that you should look at. And I was like, oh my God, this candidate is seeing this fucking note. I'm like, Jessica Rose, like this, we seem like such jerks. And then Jessica Rose is like, no, it's fine. It's only you see it. I set it up, blah, 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 Google speak. And then I was like, I don't believe her. Like, I'm just like,
I can show you.
I flat out don't believe her. So that I'm just
promise.
pissed off all morning because I'm like, Jessica Rose is just smearing me.
I would never do that.
I know, but Jessica Rose now swears that it's true. But the person was just here, and I was like, kind of like looking at the person twice to be like, do you think I'm a jerk? You know? So anyways, that's our story with that. Okay, so I guess I have a meeting Monday morning with a.
I'll put them separately from now on.
No, you don't have to. I trust you. You just got to promise me you're right.
I swear that they cannot see them.
So they don't see any of the notes?
No.
Okay.
All those notes are like only specifically like you'll be able to tell if it's a general for the public consumption.
Okay, so I have a non for the public. All right, I have a secret meeting in the morning.
You have a secret meeting in the morning. You have...
I'm going to We Met at Acme.
Yes, you're on with Lindsay.
That's going to be juicy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that.
I don't know I don't think they've sent over the topics yet, so I'm not sure what you're going to talk about. But
things I don't want to talk about. Just talk about on that show. That show is a one-way ticket to trouble.
Oh, well.
Okay.
And then we have the Q3, Q4 plan of record.
All right. Yes.
Part 2. So that's a follow-up meeting. Tuesday, you have the biweekly exec meeting for like pretty
17
much
hours.
The entire day.
Okay.
We're filming another episode, and then you have a board of directors meeting in the afternoon.
Oh, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then the following day, a ton of one-on-ones. We're filming another segment, and then you're meeting.
Oh, I'm talking to the Sportico lady.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And then Thursday hasn't been filled out yet, but it will be.
What is this meeting at Cafe Chelsea? Yeah, who's that?
No, I didn't put it in there. I'll add it. That's... I have to look it up. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll add that in the notes.
An away game meeting. That person must be pretty important. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's exciting, Jessica Rose.
And then...
Thursday, we're having the monthly birthday celebrations. Do you organize that?
I suppose I am now.
Do people go to that?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, but if it was my birthday at work, this is a generational thing. If it was my birthday at work, I don't want anyone talking about it ever. Like, just don't mention it. Let's just have a regular day.
I take my birthday. Do you take your birthday off every year?
No. I actually only started doing it here because that's what everybody does.
I definitely have for years and years. I always take my birthday off.
Do you take your birthday off?
No, never.
I never thought about it.
Really? Why?
Until I started working at Food 52.
I don't know. It's just another day.
I
Yeah,
want
that's
to
what I
take
felt
that
too.
for me. I feel like it's always a reflective thing.
Well, that's
Sure,
great.
that
Are
is
you
nice.
like a birthday week? Like my daughter
No.
turned 13. We celebrated it for a fucking month.
That's a big birthday, though.
It was like an Indian wedding.
That's a big birthday.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean,
but
you're a teenager now.
You're a teenager, but it was
that's like
like
a milestone.
weekend 1 celebration, weekend 2 celebration.
13 and 16, I think, was like
Yeah,
growing up.
13
That
and
was the
16.
two big ones
Okay.
that for us, for my family, that we celebrated.
Well, we rocked that. Okay, so are you a birthday week person
Absolutely
or just
not.
just the day?
I'm
What
like
about
fully
birthday month?
No, my
you
God,
heard
I think
that?
those people are obnoxious.
That's
It's my
annoying.
birthday month.
like
What's your
that's-
birthday month right now?
No, next month. But
When's your
Makes
birthday?
sense.
June 25th.
June 25th?
Oh, so wait, what is your sign?
Yeah, what are you?
Cancer.
Oh, Cancer. What are
okay.
I'm a little
cancers like?
crab.
Weepy.
Really?
Sensitive.
Sorry.
That's the stereotype. Is
Yeah.
Sensitive.
Sensitive, they cry a lot.
emotional,
Really?
crybabies.
Really?
I think I can see that for you, Sarth. I think I can
Old
see
life, yes. New
Sarthi's
Sarthic,
not.
No, therapize is the word? Therapy.
Therapized,
Therapized is.
Oh, you've done therapy?
Yeah, I'm in
That's
therapy.
excellent.
I
that
love
you-
therapy.
That's amazing.
I'm a big proponent
More
for
guys
it.
should talk about that. That's great.
Yeah, it fits into the episode with the.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent for therapy.
That's awesome. When's your birthday?
February 8th,
So you are a what?
Aquarius.
What are you like?
Where I only know like the bad stuff about Aquarius.
Yeah.
Like I only know like the bad traits. I don't really know what the good. I think the good traits are we're very like independent and very organized, which I mean
Okay.
helps with this job.
What are the bad things?
The bad things is we're like sneaky. I know
Ooh,
that was like
really?
as a kid I was very
Very
sneaky.
sneaky.
Yeah, but like now I don't have to be anymore. I was only sneaky because I would
Well, you had
like
shit to hide.
yeah. But like now I like don't have to be. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So I
yeah.
think that has kind of gone
Yeah.
away. But like yeah, that's the one bad thing I know about
Oh.
Aquarius is that we're sneaky.
What about you?
But we get along with most people.
You
That's
do?
a good thing. Yeah.
I'm a Scorpio. A lot of good, a lot of bad. Scorpios are like very passionate, a lot of energy. But if you like it takes us a long time to make us mad. But if you make us mad, we'll kill you.
Like this morning.
like this morning. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Have a
Erika.
great day.
Thanks.
Now work.
Welcome back to work. This is our podcast. Big shout out to the Work Like a Girl Slack gang. They are awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I have met so many great people. There's women from all over the country. They're incredible. They're so smart. They're scrappy. They're vulnerable. They're earnest. And we're trying to build to 10,000 women. So if you are listening to this, you can get the link off the QR code, or you can find the link in my stories or in my link tree. Can we add it to my link tree?
Sure.
Okay, let's add it to that. So you can find it in my link tree on Instagram. You can find it on LinkedIn, or just DM me at Erika, Erika, and I'm happy to have you join. So welcome. The water's warm. Before we get into this episode, so we have two guests. We have Abel, who is a 72-year-old newly rabid Bruce Springsteen fan. So she tells us some great generational knowledge. And then we have Tejas Hullur. So Tejas Hullur was part of our live show last winter, and he has come back to talk about earning trust and how we are in an era of selling trust and kind of monetizing trust and conveying trust. I think he's a brilliant creator. His work is incredible if you follow him on YouTube. But he also has a really solid mind about what he's creating and how and why. So I'm excited for you to learn more from Tejas. Okay, so two things at the top of our episode, two topics from the Work Like a Girl group. One is a topic somebody brought up was the Bad Managers Club, which I think is kind of a genius segment. And that should be something, if you have a bad manager or you have a story from a bad manager, everybody's had a bad manager, probably multiple, and most of us probably at some times or all the time are bad managers. But I think one thing that is really good to talk about at work that very few people do is, what do you do if you're in a bad management situation? Like, What do you do if you have a toxic boss? What do you do if you have a toxic employee? How do you motivate people who don't want to be motivated? What do you do if you have a hellscape of a work situation, and how do you get out of it? So I think one thing that we should start talking about is the Bad Managers Club. So if you have a Bad Managers Club idea, join us in the Slack group and share it. You can DM it to me. You can give it to me on LinkedIn. We'll put a post up that solicits the Bad Manager Club ideas. In general, my point of view, if you have a bad manager, I think the first thing you have to do if you're in a bad situation with your manager, or you're a manager and you're in a bad situation with an employee, I think you've got to ask yourself, why are you in this situation? I tend to think about everything like I'm writing a PowerPoint, because I just think in presentations, which is probably screwed up. But what is the problem here? Like, what is the title of this slide? That's how I tend to think about it, which is really, what is the issue? What is the issue you're experiencing? And why is that issue happening? Because a lot of times I think we all attack the symptoms, not the root causes of things. And I think when you have a bad situation, either with your boss or with an employee, and you're attacking the symptoms, or you're being irritated because of the symptoms, it can prevent you from having a clear mind in figuring out the cause. So I think the first thing, if you're in that situation, is to figure out what exactly is the problem and what is causing this problem. And then I think it's always good to think about, what are the 3 ways you could solve it? Like, there's option A, there's option B, there's option C. And you should let your mind go kind of crazy to preposterous ways to solve it. I was watching I'm a nerd, but I was watching the Berkshire Hathaway conference last weekend. Do you watch this? Like on CNBC? It's like my favorite weekend of the year. So it's the Berkshire Hathaway conference. It used to be Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, and they sit and they answer questions. I think Buffett called it the Woodstock for capitalists. Like, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people in Omaha, and they're asking him investing questions. They're asking him investing questions. Warren Buffett took like a really failing retail company and turned it into like a $1 trillion enterprise. But they more so are asking leadership questions. It's actually super interesting. And actually, there's a really good article, which we should flash up, which I'll send you. But anyways, one of the things that Buffett was talking about was that you should understand your opponent's argument better than they understand it. And when he goes and looks at companies, what he always focuses on is the balance sheet. So I think a lot of times when investors go look at companies, or people look to acquire companies, they're looking at the revenue. Like, everyone is distracted and fixated on the revenue. And what Buffett and Charlie Munger always did was to look at the balance sheet and like to study the balance sheet so closely. And the piece of advice that Warren Buffett gave was, hey, look and understand the counter argument and know the counter argument so well that you can give that argument better than the person can. Because by studying that argument and understanding that argument, you will find a better solution, because you better understand and can better appreciate the person's position. So that's my Bad Manager Club piece of advice today. So we'll start the episode with that.
Now work.
So we're on to current events. Our first article came out of Instagram, and Fortune magazine did a story on the top 10 job aspirations for Gen Alpha. So Gen Alpha watched the influencers make millions of dollars from daily vlogs and video game content, and now they want a piece of the pie. So 32% of Gen Alpha, these are 12 to 15-year-olds, they want to be YouTubers. So, which is super fitting, makes total sense. So like when I was 12 to 15, I think I wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor or like an astronaut, none of which I would ever have been qualified for. The second thing people want to be are TikTok creators. So they want to be YouTubers, they want to be TikTok creators. 20% want to be doctors or nurses. So the doctors and nurses are hanging on. 19% want to be mobile and video game developers. 17% want to be entrepreneurs. 16% want to be artists. 15% want to be athletes. Another 15% want to be streamers. 14% musicians. 14% teachers. But what's really interesting, if you look at this, so Sarthik, quick math,
Yeah.
32 plus 21 plus 19 plus 15. Oh, got it. Okay, 32.
That's 51, 53, 53, 71, and which was the last one?
15.
So 86.
Okay, 86% of people want to work in content on the internet, whether you're a streamer, a YouTuber, games, or TikTok.
I would say, honestly, yeah.
That makes sense. That's what you consume.
I would say even 86. I would put musician in there too.
Well, then you could put artist in there too, probably.
Yeah.
All right, so like everyone wants to be a YouTuber. That's the headline of this segment.
Also, I'm pretty sure I did the math wrong. Because is this all over 100%?
It's a lot of...
But that makes sense because it's like you're always constantly, like everyone's addicted to their phone.
But it's also so interesting, which is I think nobody sees how hard it is to make money in these professions. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I think is so interesting, which is this is what's cool, obviously. Like it was so interesting. And we had our Axon board meeting last week and the CEO of Axon and I had a call with a police chief in Texas like a couple months ago. And the police chief was sharing like, hey, when he was a kid, he's probably in his 60s, the toys you played with, like every kid had a cop car.
Yeah.
Like you had a fire truck, you had a cop car. And even when I was a kid, like you still had the cop car, you still had the bus, you still had the fire truck. And now like when you go to Target or you go to Walmart or Costco, like you don't see the cop car as a toy.
Yeah.
And especially I think since George Floyd and kind of I think it's changing a little bit, but he was saying that he thinks there could be a correlation with recruiting. Recruiting is so challenging right now to be in law enforcement for a whole bunch of reasons, but it's also because the brand perception and the proximity to playing with that toy and kind of having a positive association is really missing. So anyways, best of luck to Gen Alpha.
Best of luck for sure. Good luck being a entertainer online.
Growing up, like I feel like millennials, a lot of them were watching Disney Channel and stuff and like wanted to do that.
Oh yeah, like you guys wanted, the millennials wanted to be on Disney. My crowd wanted to be we wanted to be Julia Roberts. You know what I mean? Like you wanted to be in the movies. Like
that was surprising to me. No, none of them said actor here. At least on this whatever poll this is, it doesn't say actor.
Because I don't think they're watching
movies.
No.
Wow, that's sad.
It's crazy.
That's really sad. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
All of it is short form content or streaming.
Which is long form content, but it is very personable.
Definitely.
It's that.
Definitely. That's a great point.
Yeah. Well.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's do another one. Super timely. So UPS is cutting 20,000 jobs already due to tariffs. They're also closing over 70 facilities to improve cost efficiency. This is interesting to me. I think, it's funny I had drinks with a banker set last night and we were talking about the tariffs and we're talking about the economic uncertainty. And we were talking about the biggest thing that people don't realize is that all the retailers right now have boats on the water and are making decisions about back to school and Christmas, right? Like those are the two biggest drivers. Back to school is kind of shot. Like people put a hold on everything. They paused on everything. So what's going to happen likely, unless things change, is that this fall, if you were to go buy a backpack last year for your kid, it cost $50. And this year the backpack's going to be $150.
That is wild.
So it'll be 3 times the price. Now who knows with tariffs and where it nets out with China and where it nets out everywhere else. But I do think that retail companies are going to be really challenged, and empty shelves in the biggest 2 quarters of the year is going to be a real problem. The other thing they were saying is that like Amazon is getting ready to have planes so that they can bring inventory over so fast, because the reality is if so many retailers have empty shelves, the one who has a stocked shelf is going to get a great premium for it. So anyway, so I think UPS is signaling that the trade wars, the uncertainty around consumer spending, the lack of stock, the long-term impacts of tariffs, a potential recession, a lot of companies, and I think UPS is really at the forefront of this, is cutting to get ahead of it. I actually think what you're going to see is another huge round of layoffs this summer going into Q3, depending on what happens in retail. All right, so our next current event, do we get one more?
Yeah, we can do one more.
Okay.
You want to do the rise of hotel merch as a luxury purchase?
No, I want to do greatest people are self-managing.
Okay, let's do that.
All right, so our next story is a clip from Steve. So our next current event is our next story is a clip from Steve Jobs that's running around on social, saying that the best people are self-managing. So the greatest people are self-managing. This comes from entrepreneurs on IG. I was like, Entrepreneur Mag? No, it's from entrepreneurs on IG. I love all these like meme business accounts. I can't get enough.
You want me to play it?
No, well, you'll play it in the...
You want to hear it too, or have you seen it already? The clip?
No, we can play it.
Okay, well, let me just play it for you.
People are self-managing. They don't need to be managed. If they know once they know what to do, they'll go figure out how to do it. They don't need to be managed at all. What they need is a common vision, and that's what leadership is. What leadership is having a vision, being able to articulate that so the people around you can understand it, and getting a consensus on a common vision. We wanted people that were insanely great at what they did, but we're not necessarily those seasoned professionals, but who had at the tips of their fingers and in their passion the latest understanding of where technology was and what we could do with that technology, and who wanted to bring that to lots of people. So the neatest thing that happens is when you get a core group of 10 great people, it becomes self-policing as to who they let into that group. So I consider the most important job of someone like myself is recruiting. The greatest people.
All right, so
I think I've heard you say that before too.
Same. I'm like all in on this. So I think what's great about the Jobs post on it is one, it's kind of three things. If you're in leadership, you have to have a clear vision that other people will buy into. Like that, to me is, I actually think, really missing. And sometimes I even find it myself of like, ooh, have I caught everybody up to my vision? Have I caught everybody up to my vision? So I think having a vision, articulating the vision, super important. The second is hiring like highly passionate people. They don't have to be the greatest professionals. They don't have to have the most experience ever, but people who want to create at their fingertips, as he put it, I think is really, really important. I think passion is something you can't fake at work, and people who have initiative and go-get-itness and drive and grit and resilience, those are the greatest people at work always, because their energy is infectious. And I think the other piece to the self-policing is that your environment is relentless. So if you hire really good people who are really passionate and who are really bought into a vision, anything can happen. The challenge is when you have one or two people who aren't bought into that. Like that, to me, is where the group dynamic kind of falls apart, is when you have one or two people who aren't at the pace or aren't on the rhythm or aren't bought into the mission or who don't have that resourcefulness. So I'm fully bought into this. I think recruiting is the hands down hardest part of work. Because you get it wrong so much and it's super hard to get it right, and it's very hard to tell who ultimately can be a long-term fit. And then the other thing is, like, I do really agree on self-managing. Like, I find this a lot, like when I have one-on-ones and stuff where people are looking like, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you think you should do? Like, here's where I want us to get to. Have you tried every avenue? Have you explored every option? Have you picked up the phone and called someone? Like, to me, it's all like basic shit. But I do think that one of the things that happens at work is that people want a lot of management. I think some jobs are really good for that. Like, if you work in a big corporation, you're going to get a lot of management. If you work at a startup, like here, you're not going to get a lot of management. You have to have a lot of initiative. So I think that's really an interesting story. Okay, should we hand it to Tejas?
Yep.
Now work.
Tejas, tell people who you are, give a little bit of background.
Yeah, I'm someone who was in college and
Yes.
decided to start making silly little TikToks
Okay.
back in 2020, and everything was educational.
Yep.
I saw it as sort of fun, but it kind of grew into something where I was like, whoa, could there be something in this? Serendipitously, I decided to kind of move to LA, pursue this dream, did TikTok for 2 years. It was really great.
Was your family pissed, or were they like, that sounds great, or Tejas is having a moment?
It's funny, I'm on like my 6th gap year. So I never
Okay.
finished college, and that's kind of the narrative I keep telling them. So as
Okay.
long as it's a gap year, I think it's fine.
You're
but
like, I'm going to finish college.
yeah, I'll finish it at some point.
How old are you now?
I'm 24.
Okay.
Yep.
There's
and
zero chance you're finishing college.
zero chance. Yeah. I want to see
That's
if I can
okay.
get an
Keep
honorary
live the lie.
degree.
You probably will at some day.
I hope. Yeah.
You know what's so funny? I want to teach business school classes because I think I have a lot to share and it would be great, but I can't because I don't have a business school degree. Isn't that terrible? I think that's rude. But
we
anyway,
can go to school together then.
We could finish it like University of Phoenix or something. Okay, so keep going.
Anyway, so 2 years went by. I was making TikToks, living in LA, and at one point I asked myself, "Is this going to be sustainable? Me being just a TikToker?" And I came to the consensus of no for many reasons, and that's when I moved a lot of my
What
effort.
were the no's? Why?
One, just from a government standpoint, like we don't know if this app is going to be there in a
Okay,
month from
yeah,
now, right?
okay.
But two, this is a much larger topic, but I think TikTok does a really good job of prioritizing culture and trends, but not creators. And it's one of these things where, as a creator with 1 million followers or 1 follower, wherever you're at, I think every TikToker feels this sort of sense of we're just making darts and throwing blindly and hoping it hits bullseye. And to create an entire business
exhausting
off that
and
is
risky.
Absolutely. Right? It's a beautiful app in which you can have 1 follower get 1 million views, but at the same time you can have 1 million followers and get 100 views.
Yeah.
Right? And how
So
are
there's
you
no logic.
There's no logic, but there's also no like relationship with an audience. So how are you supposed to build anything off of that? So in 2023, that's when I started YouTube.
Okay.
And I'm currently pursuing that as someone that's making, instead of 60-second videos, my stuff's now like 30 to 60 minutes long.
Okay, got it.
So
Yep.
it's a lot more like TV than it is social media.
And where do you put you had a great Instagram the other day, the Tejas story. It was beautiful. I almost
you.
sent it to you. I almost
No,
sent it to
I almost sent it to
I
you.
knew you watched it. It was beautiful. Like,
Thank you. The
do you still
narration, yeah.
That was so great. Do you still have that same camera guy?
I do. Ken.
Ken is so great.
Ken's great.
And he edits and shoots.
Yes, we kind of do everything together.
Yeah.
So I call him my producer Ken, but producer's
Ken
like
looks
one
like
of,
Ken. If
does.
we have any footage from Ken, we should
of
show
Ken.
Ken.
I could also send some stuff. He's Ken.
Send us Ken.
He's
He
Ken.
looks like Ken.
Yeah.
Okay, straight out of Central
But we're
Casting.
both like doing everything.
Okay, so you're both doing everything. You moved to YouTube. How do you think about Instagram and the ecosystem?
Instagram's really interesting because I find it the place where we look for authority of someone, right? So if I didn't know you and someone says, "Oh, you should look up Erika," it's like, where's the first place I'm going to?
You go to Instagram.
Instagram, right? So it becomes this.
It's like the place of
10-second
record.
download of someone, and after that, I also see how many of my mutuals are
Yeah.
following you.
Yep.
And there's this level of authority with that. Oh, we have a lot of mutuals. I must know her, right? And so Instagram is this place of, it's your 10-second download of who you are.
Okay.
And that, I think in the future, I don't know where TikTok stands, but I think my future is like YouTube, Instagram.
YouTube and
is this
Instagram.
place where you can, if you want to spend 30 minutes with me, this is the place to be. And then Instagram is a place where if you only have 10 seconds, the top of funnel, that's where you come.
Okay, so that's how you think about it, which is Instagram is a gateway. YouTube can also be a gateway,
Yeah.
but you could also spend 5 hours with you.
Yes.
It's for people who want a relationship with you. You want a
Exactly.
relationship.
And I can create a much deeper sort of topics on YouTube and just bigger projects. Yeah.
And one of the things you said when we had our live event, which I thought was so brilliant, was that you are, I don't know if you used the word selling trust, but that it's trust. Like that is you're not shilling a product, you're not marketing your brand, you're trying to build trust. Like how do you think about that?
Yeah, it was a really big unlock for me, right? I think we grow up all our lives thinking that money can only be made on an axis of time, right? Salaries are just the more you work, the more you get paid, right? How many dollars you make per hour. at one point, I think in order to build wealth, you have to find a way to build money not on a basis of time.
Yes, 100%.
Right?
You gotta transcend
Exactly.
the
And
time
like
piece.
investors, is you're building money off a basis of risk, right? The more you risk, the more potential you have to make. And then as a creator, what I've realized is we're making money on a basis of trust. So even though you'll see these creators spend 60 seconds on a video and they get paid 6 figures, a lot of people go, how is this even possible? It's because they have a lot of trust with their audience. And the funny thing about trust is it's gained in drops and dropped in buckets, right? So it's one of these things where I'm really focused on what is this overall brand, right? When a company partners with me, how can I make sure that they know that this brand isn't going to mess up, right? This is I'm
The
not
trust
dropping
goes
anything.
both ways. Like you're
Exactly.
a conduit. They're leveraging your trust to share their message with your fans who trust you.
Totally.
And you want them to trust, you want the brand to trust you as well. Because
Exactly.
that's also it was funny. We had this conversation. We met the founders of Happy Pop last night, and we're having a discussion about what influencer would be right for their brand. And people had a lot of opinion about it and really different opinions. And my opinion was no one, because you put your brand in somebody else's face or in someone else's mouth. Everything that happens with that person becomes your brand.
Yep.
And if you're down, like we lived this at Barstool, like there's no greater vehicle than that. And there's no more dangerous vehicle than
it's
that.
the biggest double-edged sword.
And how do you think about building trust? Like the other thing, sorry, just to my other thought on this is I actually think the idea of creating trust is not just for creators. I actually think people at work, the more trust you have, the more faith people have in you, the more consistent you are, the more dependable you become, the greater your sphere, and the greater your sphere is, the greater your realm is, the greater your remit can be. Like, and so I think what you're talking about in a creator landscape actually applies to humans.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do I think about trust? I make sure that no matter what I do, I'm really lucky because I make educational content and we have a sense of academic integrity with everything we do. So even if the video sucks, let's just say, because I like to act and I like to do all these kind of like entertainment
ham it
bits.
up.
Of course. If you don't like that, at least let me make everything I deliver like based in facts, right? And make sure that at the basis, there is integrity with what we're saying. Because I
Okay.
can even have a really cool like acting, entertaining bit, but if the information's wrong, there goes the trust.
So you are educating and entertaining, and you're like, I'm trying to balance it 50-50 or 70-30, but at the very least, we're going to get our facts straight.
Exactly.
How do you think about facts in an AI age? Like, how do you think about that?
It's
Like, do you verify the stuff you get from ChatGPT?
Yeah, I use have you ever seen what is it, Gemini's Deep Research?
Yep.
Yeah, so
That's
that's
what
a
you
good
use.
tool. And then just making sure that if we do use any of that, it's a great place to get 100 facts. And then being like, okay, if we're going to use fact number 10, 12, and 17, we have to go through and see if we can find this ourselves.
Yeah, I also think this is a good tip for people in business, which is like AI can accelerate so many things and it gives you such a great place to start. What's actually going to happen, in my opinion, is the lazy people will just take that and there'll be fake news in there or misinformation. And the smart people will take that, verify, trust and verify, and then use it to deliver value.
Exactly.
That's so interesting. And then how do you think about, like, are there brands you won't take because they either don't appreciate the trust you have or they won't put the faith in you?
Those two things. And if I partner with that brand, will it actually decrease the trust of my brand as a whole?
So that's your filter.
Yep. And I'm really fortunate to where I've had the same partners for almost 3-4 years now.
Yeah, you work with Microsoft, like you work with
Adobe,
big
exactly. And like these are companies that I genuinely use, right? I'm in Adobe products every single day, regardless.
You're like, I'm
right?
living this brand.
100% Microsoft 365. I use those products growing up and today. So I've gotten really lucky. I've declined many. I remember when I first started, it was every NFT company, every cryptocurrency company, right? And this is at a time where obviously today, retrospectively, we look back and go, whoa, that was a lot of shadiness there.
Yeah, that was too good to be true.
Of
But it
course.
was a lot of money in the
But
internet.
100%.
It was a lot of money in the
In
internet.
2021, we all thought
Completely.
it was the future and everything.
It
so.
was everything. It's so funny. What was that guy's name? Sam. He's in jail.
Sam Bankman.
What was his
Fried?
company? I'm blanking. Oh my God.
FTX.
It's funny how you disappear out of the news.
Yeah.
Like that was such a. Where is he? Is he in jail? He's
He
in
is.
jail somewhere.
Yeah.
What
Where-
did he?
He's with Diddy, yeah. In jail with
In the
Diddy.
same one?
I think so, yeah.
I bet they're friends. What do you
Yeah.
There's like interviews of him in the jail cell.
Yeah.
And he like talked about
who
it.
was it? That
Wait,
with?
interviews with Diddy and Sam?
No,
No,
not
not
Diddy,
with Diddy,
just
but
but
Sam.
Sam. Sam did
Oh,
an
really?
interview with somebody. Who did he do it with?
I forgot who.
Some red pundit.
It was wild, yeah.
All right, I forgot about him for a minute. All right, so now we're back. But I agree, that was a lot of money. It was funny because we looked at we had a partnership with FTX, just an ad partnership, and they had wanted to do more. He really wanted to be friends with Dave Portnoy, and just like looking everything that happened with FTX, like I was just so
That was a
grateful.
bullet.
I
that
mean,
we
it
did
was so
not go
tough
any
too.
further.
I mean, you look back, it's like Tom Brady did a FTX
100%.
partnership, and I think every legal team saw them and went, okay, like everything looks good.
It's kind of
Right.
there's always the waves of that in the internet. Like it was the crypto people, and
Yeah.
then it was the gambling people,
Yeah.
and like there's it was the studio people before that. So how would you describe your audience? Like who are your people?
I think my people, demographically, if we're going just like nuts and bolts, it's like 18 to 24. Right. I
Men?
think people actually after my last docuseries, a lot more women. So I
Okay.
think I went from like 80-20 men to now about 60-40.
Okay, that's great.
Right, which is really cool. But I think just people are really just curious about life.
Yeah.
They're just kind of questioning, like, and asking the one step further why.
Okay.
And that's how that's basically who I am. So my audience is just basically probably a reflection of me.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of our ideas are, I look at myself as someone that has the privilege of taking any topic, being able to explore it to its fullest and share it.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll give a future video I'm making is called "Is Therapy a Scam?" Right. And it's a video where I've never really thought about therapy in my life. And I've always I think any guy has gone through that moment of like, do I need therapy? But nah,
Am I
forget about it.
depressed?
I'm like, I should be able to figure out everything myself because
Yeah.
I'm a big macho masculine guy.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a really interesting story where I'm like, what if I started therapy, like really go into it with an open mind and talk to clinical psychologists about like objective frameworks that they use and can work and like make a package and give it out to the world. Right. And I think people interested in psychology, I say my brand is the in between of science and emotion.
Okay, that's interesting. So you're almost like the new Dateline, where it's like there's a topic in a fun, entertaining,
Yeah.
fresh way where there's a topic, you're going to explore it, you're genuinely curious about it. You're not going into it with a gotcha or a bias.
Exactly.
And you don't know where it's going to come out. You actually don't know. Part of the intrigue is you don't know what's
Absolutely.
going to happen either. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like the video we're working on now is about sports betting. And I think it was really easy for me to be like the ugly truth behind sports betting or like really create this just one-sided argument about like why gambling is bad. And we really went into it going, we just can't. This feels too surface level, right? And instead our videos now about like how sports betting quietly hooked America. Right.
Yeah,
And so now it's
so
more
addictive.
about
It's
exactly,
amazing. Yeah.
right. And how in like 6 years it became bigger than what any of us ever like thought. And it's more two-sided.
Yeah.
I talked to a professional gambler.
Yeah.
But he's like, I've made a lot of money. It's like changed my life.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
It's also so gamified. It's like it's like the stock market. Like if Robinhood did the same thing, you know, and like it's
course.
so easy to feel a win and a rush, and it's it's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so that's exciting. So who is a follow that anybody listening to this, like who's someone you follow that you think people should follow?
ooh, that's a great question. Out of anyone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you
I-
consume a lot, or are you spending more time creating?
I create more
Yeah.
than I consume.
That's
And
funny. I do
it-
too. I'm the same
Yeah.
way.
I think it took a minute to get there
Yeah.
though. It's really easy to consume. I like a guy named Four Eyes Furniture
Okay.
on YouTube.
Okay.
He makes incredible furniture, but he tells better stories on top of it. And it's the best 30-minute like download. It's just so peaceful. And it's like the stuff he's making is so beautiful. But he's a storyteller. I just love stories.
Oh, I love that. I think that's so great.
yeah.
Thank
But I
you.
also I will say I also consume more movies. And
Ooh,
I
okay,
think I
what's
get
a movie? What's the most recent movie you watched?
Oh, most recent. You know, funny enough, it's the Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before
Okay.
Midnight
Okay.
trilogy.
Were they
Incredible. Incredible. Never watched them?
good? No, I've
You
never
should
seen
try.
them.
Yeah, they're
Who was in that?
Ethan Hawke.
Yes, Ethan Hawke and Juliette.
Yes. yeah.
Wasn't Juliette Binoche?
I'm
I know who
forgetting
you're
the
talking about.
name,
She's
yeah.
like kind of. I just watched Conclave.
Oh, how's that?
Have you seen Conclave?
Never.
Because it's like happening right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Like, it was. You know what? I actually really loved it. There is very little action. It's all dialogue, but the tension is so high, and it was very good. It was very interesting.
I think we could take more from movies than we could take more from other social media creators.
Yes, 100%. There's something to the artistry and the depth and also the nuance. It's so new. It's hard to get nuance in something so short. All right, Tejas, thank you so much for coming.
Now work.
So we're back and we're doing generational knowledge, and I have a very special guest. Anne, you know color, like the red and the pink. And are you a color person?
Yes.
You have gorgeous color choices. But Anne is our special guest. I'll let Anne introduce herself. Do you want to introduce yourself, Anne?
My name is Ann Abel. I'm 72 years old, but my first book came out last year called Maddie, Milo, and Me. And my second book is coming out September 23rd on Bruce Springsteen's 76th birthday, and it's called High Hopes, a Memoir.
Is it about Bruce Springsteen?
And he is a very big player in it, although he has no idea about this.
He doesn't? Do you think he's going to meet you after it comes
No,
out?
I think there are so many people that Bruce Springsteen has helped without ever having to meet them. He is just so powerful. His message and his energy and his enthusiasm, humanity. He has helped so many people, and I'm just another one of them.
You're just like next in line. Yeah. Okay, so before we got on, I'm going to ask Anne a real question, but before we get to that. So Anne was telling me that when you were 60, you went to Australia to follow Bruce Springsteen. Like, how did this happen?
Okay.
Give us the Anne Abel story.
I suffer with very severe depression, very severe. I've had ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, 3 times. So I was teaching at the Community College of Philadelphia for 5 years, and I was holding on. And I loved it. It gave me a purpose. I loved the students. Every year there'd be a couple, every semester there'd be a couple who really thought this was going to help them get where they wanted to go.
Yeah.
And then 2013, I had the class from hell. I had desks thrown at me. I mean, it was horrible. I went to the head of the department. He's like, write these reports. Anyhow, one day, 5th week of the semester, after having one desk too many thrown at me, I walked out the door and I thought, I am never coming back. But as soon as I was in my car making a U-turn headed home, I was panicking. I was terrified that with my sons grown and living on opposite coasts and my husband traveling, without the structure and focus of the classroom, I'd fall back into the abyss. Mm-hmm. I was 60 years old. I was not doing ECT again. I'd been inpatient twice. I was not doing that. I figured by now I knew myself as well as any mental health or any, but I needed a plan. I needed a lifeline. And then I remembered I had gone to my first Bruce Springsteen concert a year earlier with my son and daughter-in-law. We were living in Philadelphia. They were in Boston, and it was Labor Day weekend. I was feeling really sorry for myself because my husband and I were both getting ready to start school the day after Labor Day, and then they said they wanted to come to Philadelphia. They were going to a Bruce Springsteen concert. I'm like, oh, that's great. Sure, you can come. Do you want to go? Why would I want to go to a Bruce Springsteen concert at 7 o'clock? That's when I drag myself up to bed.
Yeah, 100%.
And my day
You're
is
like,
over.
this is way past my bedtime.
Yeah.
And who is this
right. So then they show up.
scraggly guy?
And then Sunday morning of the concert, the one thing that helps me all the time with my depression is working out. If my body is in okay shape, I do not miss a day.
And are you pretty religious about it?
Oh, my God. It's like it's a depression. I've tried everything.
Yep.
But it's like a pill for me. And you'd think by now I would know I was going to feel better at the end of my 45 or 15 minutes. But every morning, and my husband always says to me, this is the worst part of your day. But I just go there and I'm like, no, you're not going to feel better. And then I swear to God, every single day I say to myself, just look at this like an experiment. Let's just see if you're going to feel better. Mm-hmm. And I do. But
you always do.
So I got on my bike that morning that they were going to go to, and then I was just feeling better because I always feel better. And I went and I said, I want to go with you to the concert just to spend time with you. Now, they had gotten married in July. This was Labor Day. And I didn't remember their wedding because I was undergoing my 3rd regimen of ECT, which had to be aborted because I was losing my memory. So my daughter-in-law had brought her wedding gown to
Okay.
Philadelphia. And then as we're sitting for 2 hours waiting for this concert to begin, they're showing me thousands and thousands of wedding photos on their phones. And then I'd never been to a concert, never been
Like
to a
not
concert,
one?
not one, not ever been to a concert. As the crowd mysteriously rose in unison, I rose too. And up on the screen was the face of a man with the biggest, kindest smile I had ever seen.
Huh.
And for the next 3+ hours, that man's energy, enthusiasm, and humanity lifted me. For the next 3+ hours, Bruce Springsteen made me feel like I had a chance. He made me feel alive. And the following Saturday, my husband and I went to Chicago to see him at Wrigley
Oh, that's
Field.
so, you're like, I'm a groupie.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
in.
and then for the rest of the fall, I went to concerts wherever I could. So as I'm driving home, just knowing I need a lifeline, I remembered how hopeful and alive I felt and fun.
Yeah.
I had never done the 3-letter F word until I went to my first Bruce Springsteen concert. So I'm driving home, remembering this, and then remembering that somehow I knew he was going to be in Australia in February. This was October. I hate to travel.
Okay.
I hate to be alone, but I was fighting for my life. I went home, I Googled Australia travel agent, wrote to the first 5 who popped up. And the next day, the first travel agent who called me, I said, okay, I want to go to concerts, I want to work out and write. And I wasn't surprised by the first 2 things, but I suffer with severe, severe writer's block.
Okay.
In the 5 years I'd been teaching, I was happy to teach other people to write. But as I was thinking about this trip, my will to be happy bubbled up and reminded me that I wanted to write. And I was dreading this trip. I was terrified of this trip. Really, if I could have just disappeared from the world,
You would.
I would have done that. And as soon as I had 8 concerts, 5 cities over 26 days.
That's amazing.
And the deal was sealed. I was doing it. And then the voice in my head said, "You're doing what?"
Mm-hmm.
And Abel, you are so pathetic that you have nothing better to do with your life than chase an aging rock star across the world. And it just
Oh.
looped, and it went on. And
But
it was,
you fought that voice
I
back,
just ignored
right?
it. But then a month before the trip, I couldn't ignore that in exactly 28 days, I'd be on a 16-hour flight alone
Yeah.
to the other side of the world. And by now I couldn't even remember what I liked about Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
So I sat down and Googled him, and up popped Super Bowl 2009.
Okay.
And there on a halftime stage, surrounded by a football field of cheering, clapping fans, Bruce Springsteen took the mic, leaned into the camera and said, "Is there anybody alive out there?" Well, chills went through me, and I watched that video,
That
11,
was like your
12 minutes.
mantra, like over and over again.
Right. And then finally, the day of departure, I get to the plane, I seatbelt myself, and I'm like, wow, I'm here, I did it. And the voice says, "So what, Ann? You got yourself on a plane, now you're going to fly alone to the other side of the world for absolutely nothing." So I just took 2 Ambien, knocked myself out, and then 8 hours later,
There
I
you
woke
were.
up. I was halfway there, and I went into the bathroom. And as I'm pushing the paper towel in the bin with one hand and unlatching the door with the other, I glimpsed myself in the mirror. So I turned to face my reflection, and my lips were turned up into a smile, and I could tell I was excited. And as I studied my smile and felt my excitement, a sense of awe came over me.
Mm-hmm.
And I pictured Bruce Springsteen high above, looking down and smiling. And I thought, because of this man, Bruce Springsteen, a man who doesn't even know I exist,
Mm-hmm.
Ann Abel is about to land in Melbourne, Australia. And I looked back at myself and I said, you can do this. You are doing this. And I did.
There, here you are.
I did. And I didn't go to change. I went for structure and focus, but I came home a different person.
That's incredible. And what most of the people I think who listen to this show are in their 20s and 30s, and they may also be suffering from depression or insecurity or being afraid or feeling alone. And from being in your 70s, like, what's your advice?
Okay, first of all, so many people have come up. Now I'm on social media. I'm an influencer. And so many young people write to me and they say, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 20s, I'm in my 40s. You're an inspiration to know that even at 72, you can still get what you're trying to
Yeah, you
to
can go
get.
scare
Yeah,
yourself
it's
and push yourself.
And the first time I told this about going to Australia at the Moth, a young woman was leaving early, and she came over and she knelt down next to me and she said, "Thank you so much for telling that story. I needed to hear it now." And I'm sure she was wrestling with doing something that was hard for her, but she knew she should do. Used to tell my kids when they were growing up, on my tombstone, I want you to write, "She tried and she tried and she tried," because I'll try anything. I'll try ECT. I'll try inpatient. I'll try going to Australia.
I'll try Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, anything. If I
Yep.
think it's going to help me, even if I don't want, I have a lot of discipline.
Yep.
And so I think just try, and it helps to have some hope. Like
Yep.
if you have hope, that gives you like the courage, that helps you just, even if it's just
believe in
like
something a little further past
just
where
little,
you are.
like, oh, what am I gonna? Sometimes I'll just think, what color sweater am I gonna put on after I work out? Like, and I'll just think about that,
Okay.
because that's something. For me, it's cheerful.
Yeah,
like,
it's fun. It's kind of hopeful. It's
or
exciting.
just think of something little that you can be hopeful about to just keep you going.
Yep. That's amazing advice. I love that. I had a big Jimmy Buffett thing once. Do you know Jimmy Buffett?
Of course.
So I love Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett passed away, but I was in my 20s and working all the time and kind of miserable. And Jimmy Buffett was so upbeat and it was winter in Boston, and he was so tropical, and it created this parrot head community that I followed Jimmy Buffett around for several summers, which was probably a little bit different than following Bruce Springsteen. But
I know.
I think it's great to also do something crazy, that just takes you to a place that is so foreign and you come back someone new. I think that's just such a great message.
When I came back, besides having this positive ball of energy I'd never had before, and I was determined not to lose it, it was the first time in my life I had a story about me that I was proud of.
Yeah.
A story I wanted to tell. And that's why I'm sitting, and then my husband, Andy, teaches at Wharton, and he was feeling unappreciated. So I convinced him to accept a 4-month position at the University of Chicago as a visiting scholar. We got there, it's January 8th. It was 8 degrees outside. My dog walker walked in. I said to her, "What do you do when you're not walking dogs?" And she said, "I host a storytelling open mic. There's a string of them in the city, and I tell stories at the Moth." I hadn't ever heard of storytelling or in the Moth. I had never stood on a stage or in front of a mic, but I knew I had one story to tell.
Yep.
So when a friend insisted I go with him to the Moth, I went, and when I was called as the 10th and last teller of the night, I went up. I stumbled on the stairs. I was really nervous. The lights were so bright I couldn't see the audience.
Yep.
But I told a 5-minute story about going to Australia. And as I spoke, I could hear people gasping and laughing. And I won the story slam. And afterwards, people had so many questions that they wanted to know more. And eventually, inspired by this dream to answer these questions, I fought through writer's block, and I wrote High Hopes.
Yep.
So that if
That's
it all
wonderful.
came, and it was during the lock. At one point I gave it to an editor, and she was sitting on it for so long, and someone kept saying, I had this rescue dog. Someone kept saying to me, "Write about Milo," right? And I'm like, I can't. I have writer's block. I can't. And then I found 50 pages I had written about him 15 years earlier after he died. So I took those 50 pages. I had a beginning, middle, and end, and I just thought, this is a more straightforward story.
Yeah.
I'll try to get it out into the world, and then I'll go back and work on Australia.
Yep.
And then, which is what I did. And then a year ago, the publisher said, "You should go on social media to promote Maddie, Milo, and me." And 15 years earlier, someone put me on Facebook, and that was social media. It was daunting. But one day, a different dog walker, this one in New York City, came in. I said, "Do you know anyone who does social media?" So she gave me the name of this. His name's Arseni, and he's now he's 20. He was 19. He's a computer science major
Okay.
at CUNY. He did social media for her company. Well, I now call Arseni Maestro, or the boss.
Okay.
Last week we hit 200,000. We have all 450,000
That's
followers.
incredible.
And then, but here's the crazy thing. we ended up we've had 12 viral videos since November, but as soon as the first video went viral, Maddie, Milo, and me just like was
Took off.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's still going strong a year later.
That's
so
amazing.
I don't know.
So tell people where they find you and how do they follow you?
At Ansima Abel, ANNESIMAABEL is my social media.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing your story. That was
Okay.
so awesome. I love it.
Now work.
All right, so we're doing strategery. I love today's strategery. So today's strategery is hot desking. Does anyone out there know what hot desking is? All right, hot desking. Do you guys know what hot desking is?
Nope.
Okay. Does everybody know what hot desking is? I think hot desking is just a chance to get COVID. But hot desking is the whole concept, or it could be called hoteling, is that you don't have your own desk. Like everybody shares all the desks. The desks are for everyone's use. Nothing belongs to you. This was very popular during COVID, where Team A was in the office on Mondays and Wednesdays, and Team B was in the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But it's essentially the practice of having a rented desk. I hate hot desking personally. I think it goes so far against like human nature, which is you want a little place, you want it to be yours. A lot of people want to know where their shit is. Like, I don't mind. Like, Sarth, your desk is next to mine. Like, I spread my shit all over your desk all day long. But I do like having my own desk. And I think that hot desking is great. It's just making your workplace a WeWork where you just like jump into a phone booth when you can, or you plop down where you want. But even when there is no ownership over a desk, everybody goes to the same desk. It's just the way things work. Like, people are animals and they're oddly territorial little creatures. So hot desking is our strategery word. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm very open for you to disagree with me. So let me know.
Now work.
All right, so parting thoughts. Let me just give a quick update on all the stuff we have going on at Food 52, which is pretty awesome, and Schoolhouse. So one is we've hired a really fantastic chief commercial officer. I'm very excited for her. She's got great footwear. And it's really awesome to see the difference that a person makes. Like, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see the difference a person makes, and I can see it in her team. And so I'm excited about a lot of the momentum we're having. We are converting part of the Brooklyn office to feature Schoolhouse. So my first year here, all the Schoolhouse stuff sat in the like supply room in boxes that came from Oregon. And now we're breathing life into those. So Jessica Rose and Parrish and Alicia put up wallpaper, and Parrish I saw like assembling a table this morning. So it's so great to have Schoolhouse energy in Brooklyn. I'm very excited about that. We launched a trade council, so we will have a really illustrious group of trade and residential designers working with us, giving us counsel, giving us perspective, sharing things that we should be doing and that we haven't thought of or that we could be doing better. So I'm super excited about that. We are launching something new with Schoolhouse, which will be called Schoolhouse Switchboard, where we are creating video around installation questions, repair questions, cleaning questions, home decor questions. So Schoolhouse will get into the content game. And what my hope is that by answering questions in a really funny, compelling way, that we'll be able to solve problems for customers, obviously, but also create really engaging storytelling. I always tell all the candidates this, but when I was little, we used to listen to NPR like incessantly. It was torture. But the one show my mother liked, which played on the weekends, was called Click and Clack, which was a great show. It was about auto repair. And it was like these two guys, you could tell their mustaches were like enormous and like over their mouths and teeth. And they had Boston accents. And every week they answered questions about carburetors and, you know, stuff going on with people's cars. But it was really, and they talked to the caller one-on-one or two-on-one. But it was never really a story about the car at all. It was always a story about the person, and they were giving advice about, they were mechanics. They were giving advice about the car. So we're going to create our own version of Click and Clack, which we're really excited about. We're launching a partner council with our advertisers. We have a big event happening here on May 15th, which we're excited about, where we have, I don't know how many, 30 something CMOs coming to Food 52 and Schoolhouse, which is awesome. And the rework program just keeps booming. So if you haven't already, or you know somebody who wants flexible work and is a mom, we are happy to have her. I think we've brought on our first 2 rework folks. So I'm so excited about that. And that's really it. It's like spring becoming summer. I walked through Union Square this morning and like smelled the lilacs. I had my nose in this like guy's lilac bucket. I was like, I love lilacs so much. And then I was like, should I buy them? And then I was like, I got to haul myself to Brooklyn and back. I was like, I don't need to do that. So don't forget to stop and smell the flowers. And that's it. Don't forget to rate and review and give us a subscription, and we appreciate it. And small shout out to Lemonada. Lemonada has a big investor now. So big props to the Lemonada ladies. And that's it for our today. That's it for our episode.